It's sort of unreconcilable. I just don't know what to do. I'm lost in this.
The sun over Flagstaff was deceptively calm. Soft rays filtered through pine trees, brushing against the Brown family homes, those symbolic cottages of plural love that once promised unity, faith, and forever. But inside those walls, something darker was forming, something subtle, psychological, and destructive. Something that didn't roar at first, it whispered. It started the moment Robyn entered the family. Back then, Mykelti Brown stood tall, a proud patriarch of a growing polygamous family. His wives, Mary, Janelle, and Christine, had built decades of trust, loyalty, and struggle together. Each had learned to survive the chaos of plural marriage. And then came Robyn, the outsider with the soft smile, poetic words, and promises of spiritual harmony. But beneath that gentleness, Christine later said, there was something else. A quiet control. A methodical influence. Christine's voice would tremble years later when she said, Robyn wasn't just joining the family. She was studying us. At first, nobody noticed. The cameras, the fans, the world, they all saw Robyn as the peacemaker. The one who would heal Mykelti's broken family dynamic. But those closest to her began to see patterns. She listened too closely. She remembered too much. And somehow, every conflict, every secret, every fragile wound, began to move through her. Robyn had discovered the most powerful tool in any family, information. Scene fades into early family meetings. Christine recalls the first time she felt it. She'd nod along, always understanding, always agreeing. But later, I'd find out that the very thing I shared in confidence had become the topic of discussion between her and Mykelti. It wasn't confrontation that Robyn used. It was sympathy. She positioned herself as the victim, gentle, misunderstood, and always trying to make things better. And in Mykelti's eyes that worked like magic. He began to lean on her. Trust her. He believed that she alone understood him. That was the beginning of the divide. Mary felt it first. The loneliness, the silent separation from Mykelti. Then Janelle noticed, the way decisions slowly stopped being collective. And Christine, she felt it like a storm building in her chest. Robyn wasn't bringing peace. She was bringing control. Softly, invisibly, one heart at a time. Cut to a quiet kitchen scene. Christine's daughter, Mykelti, was younger then, sitting at the counter watching her mother hold back tears after another family disagreement. Mom always said, it's not Robyn's fault. He's just different. But I could see she didn't believe that. Years later, Mykelti would be one of the first to publicly acknowledge what she saw. Robyn knows how to make people doubt themselves. That's her power. It's like watching chess. Every time a wife tried to step forward, Robyn already had a move prepared. A kind word here. A private talk with Mykelti there. A gentle tear when things didn't go her way. But none of it felt natural. Robyn's emotional intelligence became her weapon. And Mykelti? He became her shield. Narration deepens. To the public, sister wives looked like a modern faith experiment. But inside, the foundation was cracking. By season 10, it wasn't just about who got more time with Mykelti. It was about who got to define the family. Robyn's influence grew faster than anyone imagined. She wasn't just another wife. She became the center of Mykelti's world. When the other wives disagreed, she'd retreat into tears, and Mykelti would rush to defend her. When the family argued, she'd suggest private discussions to keep the peace. Every time someone challenged her, they looked cruel. Every time she backed away, she looked holy. It was manipulation hidden in kindness, control disguised as compassion. And Christine? She began to lose herself. Flashback. A family dinner. Tense, quiet, awkward. The laughter that once filled the Brown table was gone. Mary was quiet. Janelle was guarded. Christine smiled, but only for the cameras. Mykelti spoke mostly to Robyn. He laughed differently with her. Listened differently. Loved differently. The others could feel it. They weren't sharing a husband anymore. They were competing for attention in a relationship that had already been decided. We were living in the same world, Christine said, but in completely different realities. And Robyn knew exactly what she was doing. Narrator tone slows, darker. There was a moment. One Christine never forgot. It was late evening. They had just wrapped filming for another episode. Mykelti and Robyn were talking outside. Christine walked past the window and saw Robyn take his hand, not in passion but in power. The conversation looked intense. Robyn's face serious. Cody's expression softening, surrendering. That night, Cody came home angry, not at Robyn but at Christine. Something Robyn said had turned him. That was when Christine realized. Robyn didn't need to argue. She only needed to influence. Flash to modern time, interview setup. Christine, now free from the family, sits across from producers. She doesn't cry, she speaks with precision. I spent years trying to earn respect in that marriage. But the truth is, Robyn never wanted equality. She wanted control. She made herself indispensable to Cody and untouchable to everyone else. Her words are calm, but behind them lies years of emotional exhaustion. For years, Christine tried to believe in the vision. The plural family built on faith, fairness, and love. But love cannot survive manipulation. Faith cannot survive secrets. And the cracks that started as whispers became fractures that tore the entire family apart. Shift to Mykelti's perspective. As Christine's daughter, she saw the fallout firsthand. The tension, the tears, the confusion. The unspoken rules. Don't upset Robyn. Don't question Cody. Don't talk about what really happened. But Mykelti wasn't a child anymore. She saw her mother's strength being drained by the system Robyn helped build. In one interview, Mykelti said, "It wasn't that Robyn yelled or fought. She just made people feel small, like everything they did was wrong. And Cody backed her every time." It was subtle gaslighting, emotional distortion so refined it became invisible. The more the wives doubted themselves, the more Cody leaned into Robyn. And the more Robyn appeared calm and righteous, the more the family fell apart. Cut to emotional montage. Christine packing boxes, the Flagstaff house empty. That's how it ended, not with a dramatic explosion but with exhaustion. Years of being unheard. Years of being redefined. Years of being slowly erased. I realized I was raising my children in an environment that didn't value me anymore, Christine said. When she finally left, the silence was deafening. No grand confrontation. No screaming fight. Just peace. The kind of peace that only comes when the war inside you finally ends. But peace in the Sister Wives universe is never permanent. Because the moment Christine left, the spotlight turned toward Robyn. And for the first time, America started to see her not as the sweet victim, but as the architect of the downfall. Narrator's tone sharpens, the twist. In every great family story, there's always one person who believes they're the hero, even when they're the villain. For Robyn Brown, that illusion may be her greatest trick. As the other wives found freedom, Robyn claimed she was heartbroken. She said she just wanted unity. But behind the scenes, new documents, interviews, and insider accounts began to surface. The first wife had left. The house that once echoed with laughter, children's voices, and the chaos of plural life now stood silent. Boxes filled with memories lined the hallways. Christine's goodbye wasn't loud. It was devastatingly calm. Because calm meant final. But for Cody Brown, calm didn't exist anymore. His anger simmered, sharp and defensive. To him, Christine wasn't leaving because of him. She was leaving because of them. Because of negativity. Because of disrespect. And Robyn, she was always there, whispering validation into his wounded ego. The pattern was clear now. Christine's distance became proof that Robyn was right. Robyn's loyalty became proof that she was the only one who truly loved him. That was how the emotional empire began. Narration deepens, cinematic tone. Cody was the face. But Robyn was the architect. The Brown family had always functioned through a fragile balance. Shared decisions, shared finances, shared time. But slowly, without confrontation, those structures began to bend. Robyn knew what Cody wanted to hear and what he feared most. She offered comfort where others demanded accountability. She spoke softly when the others spoke truth. And Cody, exhausted from years of chaos, chose the quiet, even if it came with control. Flashback. Family meeting 2019. The wives sit around a table. Christine leans forward, frustrated. "You're not listening anymore, Cody. You already made this decision with Robyn." He shakes his head. "That's not true. I just talked to her first." Mary crosses her arms. Janelle exhales. Christine just stares. Because they all knew what that meant. Talking to Robyn first always meant talking to Robyn only. And Robyn sits quietly, eyes down, voice trembling, perfect victimhood on display. I didn't mean to cause trouble. I was just trying to help Cody make sense of everything. But the result was always the same. Her help became influence. Her influence became control. Narrator tone softens. Psychological exploration. Robyn didn't manipulate Cody through aggression. She used emotional alignment. When Cody raged, she soothed. When Cody doubted, she praised. When Cody blamed the others, she confirmed his pain. It was textbook reinforcement. And little by little, Cody stopped seeing his wives as equals. He saw them as problems. Problems that Robyn could help him solve. That's how power works. Not through domination but through dependence. Cody's emotions became the currency of Robyn's empire. Cut to private interview. Christine's words echo. She made him feel like a king in a world where we were all exhausted queens. It's easy to love someone who never challenges you. Christine wasn't bitter. She was awakening. She'd watched Robyn reshape Cody's worldview in real time. From unity to hierarchy. From fairness to favoritism. From partnership to worship. And when Christine left, Robyn's empire grew stronger. Because every wife who walked away made Cody cling harder to the one who stayed. Transition to Mykelti's recollection. Mom used to say, "I don't know who Cody is anymore." And I think she was right. Robyn didn't just take over his heart. She rewired how he saw everyone. Mykelti's voice trembles but stays composed. She remembers family nights where Robyn would subtly shift conversations. When someone disagreed with Cody, Robyn would quietly side with him, never loudly but enough to tip the balance. Then later she'd comfort the person she'd just undermined, playing both sides perfectly. That's how confusion spreads. That's how trust dies. Cinematic voiceover. In any empire built on emotion, power doesn't look like shouting, it looks like silence. The kind of silence where people stop speaking their minds. Where everyone watches what they say. Where truth feels dangerous. And by the time the other wives realized it, it was too late. The family's emotional center had shifted completely into Robyn's orbit. Scene shift, 2020 pandemic period. The Browns are isolated. Tensions high. Decisions about family gatherings, safety and loyalty tear everyone apart. Cody's COVID rules become the breaking point. And once again, the rules didn't come from a collective discussion. They came from conversations with Robyn. She claimed she was only being careful. But Christine and Janelle noticed something else. Her care always seemed to align perfectly with keeping Cody close and everyone else distant. It felt like we were being managed, Janelle admitted. Like our access to Cody depended on Robyn's approval. And Christine? She called it what it was. Emotional isolation disguised as safety. Narrator tone sharpens. Darker undertone. By late 2021, the family wasn't a family anymore. They were factions, fragments orbiting one woman's control. Mary was emotionally erased. Janelle was tired of defending logic to deaf ears. Christine was gone. And through it all, Robyn cried on camera, playing the victim of circumstances she had carefully constructed. "I just don't understand why everyone's so angry," she said, tears in her eyes. "All I ever wanted was for us to be a family." But the audience saw it now. The shift was undeniable. Cody wasn't angry for his family, he was angry at them. Every time he defended Robyn, he drifted further from everyone else. That wasn't love. That was dependency. Cut to internal monologue. Narrator voice intense, cinematic. Robyn had mastered the perfect equation. Cody's ego plus her empathy equals control. She understood that Cody didn't want challenge. He wanted devotion. He wanted validation after decades of chaos. And Robyn gave it to him, but at a cost. The cost was everyone else's emotional stability. "If you're the only person feeding a starving man," Christine once said, "he'll think you're the only one who ever cared." That's how empires rise, not through force but through famine. And Cody was starving for love. Shift to financial tension subplot. When the family moved to Flagstaff, so did their money, into new accounts, new properties, new trusts. And guess who was always part of the decision-making? Robyn. According to later interviews and rumors, she was more involved than people thought, handling property titles, loans, and family resources. And while the others questioned, Cody always defended her. "Robyn's just better with this stuff," he'd say. "She keeps track of everything." But that's the point. Control the emotions. Control the access. Control the access. Control the finances. Robyn's empire wasn't just emotional. It was structural. Narrator tone slows. Psychological exploration. There's a term in psychology. Gaslight dependency loop. It happens when one person convinces another that the chaos around them only exists because of everyone else. Never because of themselves. That's exactly what happened inside the Browns. Every time the wives expressed pain, Robyn became the misunderstood peacekeeper. Every time Cody lashed out, Robyn became the voice of reason. And every time someone questioned her, she cried, resetting the power dynamic. Tears can be the most powerful manipulation tool, especially when used strategically. Because tears don't accuse. They disarm. Cut to Mykelti again. Adult, reflective. I used to feel sorry for Robyn. But now I think she always knew exactly what she was doing. Her words echo the sentiment of fans worldwide. The story that began as a faith experiment had turned into a psychological study. The silence after betrayal isn't peaceful. It's haunting. In the aftermath of Christine's departure, the Brown family wasn't divided anymore. It was broken. The homes stood like ghost houses in the Arizona dust, echoes of laughter replaced by long stretches of quiet resentment. And through that silence, one truth began to surface. For years, Robyn's influence had lived in whispers and shadows, subtle enough to deny, powerful enough to destroy. But the more Christine healed outside the family, the more she began to see what had happened inside it. It wasn't just manipulation, it was orchestration. And Christine was done staying silent. Narrator tone deepens. When Christine spoke publicly for the first time after leaving, it wasn't with anger. It was clarity. She wasn't trying to destroy Robyn's reputation. She was trying to reclaim her own. I thought I was crazy, she said. Every time I brought up something that hurt me, I was told I misunderstood. Or that I was jealous. Or that Robyn meant well. But when she left and the noise faded, the truth hit her. She hadn't misunderstood anything. She had been managed. Managed by emotions. By guilt. By the illusion that she was the problem. Cut to Mykelti sitting in an interview chair, eyes steady. Mom didn't leave because she stopped loving Dad. She left because she realized she was living in a system built to erase her. Mykelti had spent her whole life inside that world. She saw the subtle shifts, the careful phrasing, the strategic kindness. And as she grew older, she started noticing the patterns others ignored. When Robyn cried, people listened. When Christine cried, people called her dramatic. When Robyn was upset, Cody rearranged the family's entire schedule. When anyone else was upset, they were told to pray about it. The imbalance wasn't just emotional. It was systemic. Robyn didn't demand control, she cultivated it. Narrator tone intensifies. The real fallout began when Christine started talking, not in anger but in facts. The public had watched for years, confused by the emotional chaos of sister wives. Now they were connecting the dots. Christine explained how private conversations turned into family conflicts. How stories she only told Robyn somehow became Cody's frustrations hours later. How every disagreement turned into a referendum on loyalty. That's not coincidence. That's coordination. And Mykelti, loyal, honest, and unfiltered, became her mother's strongest witness. I saw Mom lose herself, she said. I saw her try to make peace, only for Robyn to twist things until Mom looked like the villain. It was emotional warfare, and the battlefield was trust. Scene. Flashback to one of the last family meetings. Christine sits quietly. Cody is tense, Robyn emotional, Janelle detached. Mary avoids eye contact. I just want to be respected, Christine says softly. Cody slams his hands on the table. You're disrespecting me by leaving. And Robyn cries, softly, perfectly timed. Cody, she doesn't mean it like that. She's just confused. Christine looks at her, stunned. In that moment she realizes, Robyn isn't neutral. She's the interpreter of reality. Whatever Robyn says becomes the truth. And the truth, Christine knew, had been rewritten long ago. Narrator tone quiet, reflective. When Christine finally walked away, she didn't just leave a marriage. She left an illusion. For the first time she saw Robyn not as a sister wife, but as a strategist. A woman who had spent years perfecting the art of influence. Not through lies but through selective truth. She always had the right words, Christine said. but somehow they always benefited her. Cut to Mykelti, modern time. The voiceover continues as clips of interviews, podcasts, and fan theories flash across the screen. Mykelti didn't intend to become the voice of exposure, but truth has a way of choosing its messenger. "I'm not trying to attack anyone," she said. "I just think people deserve to understand what really happened to our family." She began sharing memories. Small things that, on their own, seemed harmless, but together painted a chilling picture. Like the time Robyn told her siblings not to bother Cody when he's with me. Or the way she'd insert herself into other people's conflicts, offering comfort but also collecting information. It wasn't chaos, it was curation. Narration shifts to cinematic tone, tension building. By late 2023, interviews and social media clips began to merge into a single narrative. Christine's words, Mykelti's confirmations, fans' observations, and one by one the walls around Robyn's perfect image started to crack. The same fans who once cried for her tears began to question their timing. The same empathy she built her reputation on started to look like control. Because once you see the pattern you can't unsee it. Cut to Cody, isolated. The man who once called himself a leader now seemed lost in his own creation. He blamed everyone, defended Robyn, and spiraled deeper into anger. But even Cody in rare moments let something slip. "I don't know what's real anymore," he said once, frustrated. Everyone's got their own version of the truth. That's the tragedy of manipulation. It leaves even the manipulator confused. Robyn didn't just destroy trust between the wives. She destroyed Cody's ability to see truth at all. Narrator tone, sharp, deliberate. The fallout wasn't one big explosion. It was a slow erosion of loyalty, belief, and emotional safety. Christine found strength and independence. Janelle found peace and clarity. Mary found distance, maybe too late but enough to survive. And Robyn? She found herself standing in the middle of the empire she'd built, alone. "It's not fair," she cried on camera. "I did everything right. But sometimes doing everything right still destroys everything real." Scene. Mykelti and Christine in conversation post-filming. The camera captures what feels like closure. Christine's tone is calm, but her eyes carry years of pain. "I think forgiveness isn't about forgetting," she says. "It's about knowing the truth and choosing peace anyway." Mykelti nods. "Yeah, but sometimes peace means not going back." That line lands heavy. It's not anger, it's evolution. Cinematic narration, slow montage. Christine's new life flashes across the screen. She's smiling more, laughing more, reclaiming the voice she once had to silence. Mykelti's voiceover echoes, "Mom's happiness isn't revenge. It's proof that she survived manipulation." That's what makes Robyn's control so haunting. It didn't end with anger, it ended with indifference. And indifference is power reclaimed. Narrator tone turns reflective, powerful. For years the sister-wives story was about faith, love, and struggle. But now it's about freedom, the price of it, the pain of it, and the beauty of earning it. Christine didn't expose Robyn to humiliate her. She exposed her to liberate herself. Because you can't heal from manipulation you refuse to name. And when Mykelti joined her mother's truth, it wasn't rebellion, it was restoration. A daughter choosing transparency over tradition. Seeing Robyn's perspective. She watches the interviews from home, tears in her eyes. "They're twisting everything," she says softly. "I tried so hard to hold everyone together." Maybe she believes it. Maybe that's the scariest part. Because the greatest manipulators aren't always villains. Sometimes they're people who confuse control with love. Robyn didn't see herself as the destroyer of the Brown family. The wind howled across Flagstaff that night, sharp and heavy with rain. Inside the old Brown property, silence pressed against every wall. Not the silence of peace, but of hearts that had given up fighting. Christine sat near the old dining table. The same one where years ago laughter used to echo. Now only echoes of pain remained. Beside her lay an open folder, financial documents, therapy notes, and messages she once ignored. Every piece of paper was a thread in Robyn's web. She whispered softly to herself, "Maybe we should have seen it coming." Across town, Mykelti stood outside her mother's car, watching the lights flicker from Robyn's home. The blinds were closed, but the tension wasn't. Inside that house, Robyn paced the floor like a woman who'd lost control of her own story. Her perfect script had begun to crumble, and the audience, the family, and the world had all started seeing through it. In the years of Sister Wives, Robyn had always painted herself as the peacemaker, the gentle voice who only wanted love and unity. But Christine knew that peace had always come with a condition. Robyn had to be the one controlling it. Flashback, 2014. Christine and Robyn in the kitchen. Robyn says, "I just don't understand why you don't trust me." Christine tries to smile. "It's not that I don't trust you. That I can't understand your version of love." Robyn replies sharply, "Maybe you just don't understand sacrifice." Those words, sacrifice, stayed with Christine for years. It was the same word Robyn used to justify every manipulation, every tear, every emotional plea. Back in present day, the show had ended its season on a cliffhanger. The producers had already packed up, but the real drama, the real wounds, would never fit inside a single episode. Mykelti walked in, her voice trembling. "Mom, she's saying you ruined everything. That you poisoned Dad." Christine exhaled deeply. "She's still playing the same game, honey. Only now fewer people are willing to play with her." The walls of secrecy had started to fall. Mary had left, then Janelle, and now Christine stood as the final witness. All that was left of the once spiritual marriage was a shattered belief system, and the woman who once controlled it with crocodile tears. Robyn sat alone in her living room. The cameras were gone, but she still performed. Her reflection in the window was her last audience. "Why does everyone think I'm the villain?" she whispered. "Why does everyone think I planned this?" But in her heart she knew the truth. She didn't just plan it, she perfected it. Every moment of sympathy, every tear, every trembling lip had been her currency. And now the account was overdrawn. Meanwhile, Mykelti began piecing together the timeline. The subtle manipulation that turned sister against sister, wife against wife, and truth into theater. She remembered the conversations that never made the air. Robyn insisting that Cody was being spiritually attacked every time he questioned her. Robyn warning them not to let outside energy ruin their faith. And then when everything began to crumble, Robyn became the savior, the only one who still believed. It was a playbook built on control, and it had finally been exposed. Christine's confession came during a podcast appearance months later. Her voice was steady, calm, yet scarred. "I used to think Robyn was just misunderstood," she said. "But now I realize she needed to be misunderstood. That's how she kept control." Her words went viral. Clips spread across social media. Fans replayed every moment of Sister Wives, looking for signs they had missed. And one by one the pieces fit together. Robyn's heartfelt apologies suddenly sounded rehearsed. Her breakdowns looked more like performances. And her endless need to be the victim wasn't vulnerability at all. It was power disguised as pain. Weeks later, Mykelti confronted Robyn one last time. There were no cameras, no lights, only truth. "Mom tried to forgive you," she said. "But you never wanted forgiveness. You wanted control." Robyn's eyes filled with tears. "That's not true. I wanted peace." Mykelti didn't flinch. Then why did peace always mean everyone else had to be miserable? The words hit hard. For the first time, Robyn didn't respond. Because there was nothing left to say. Cody's role in all this wasn't small. He had been the enabler, the believer, the man who mistook loyalty for love. Christine once said, "Cody didn't lose his wives because of Robyn. He lost them because of who he became trying to please her." And that, perhaps, was the most devastating truth of all. The family wasn't destroyed overnight. It was eroded, one emotional manipulation at a time. By the end of that year, each Brown woman had found her new chapter. Christine remarried. Janelle rebuilt her business. Mary left quietly, choosing peace over performance. Only Robyn remained in the same house, surrounded by the silence she once used as a weapon. The cameras eventually returned for another season, but something fundamental had changed. The illusion was gone. Viewers no longer saw a family trying to survive.